Thank you everyone for subscribing to Infinitely Productions. If you have not done so, please click the bell and subscribe, and we hope you enjoy our content.
Welcome to this week's edition of Mob Talk. I'm Dave Schratwieser.
And I'm George Anastasia with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
George, this week we're going to talk about a couple of guys we haven't spoke about for about 10 years because they've been behind bars. Joey Merlino and George Borgesi.
Yeah, Joey will be out probably in about a year and a month or two. Georgie's got probably a little bit more than 2 years. Georgie's also got some other problems, not the least of which is his name popped up in the Delaware County racketeering investigation, and now the feds are taking an interest in that.
George, you want to say anything? Not today? All right, George, let's start with George Borgesi. A lot of buzz on the street about some recent events with him.
Yeah, he's apparently in the hole. He's in prison in West Virginia, and he's incommunicado. And that always creates a problem. When you're not hearing from somebody, you start to wonder.
You got a couple of ways you can go there.
Exactly. I mean,
is it an administrative thing, or is it something else?
Yeah, and if something else is what bothers everybody. You know, the fact that he would be considering cooperating, to me, seems outlandish, given who he is, given his track record, given the fact that his uncle is the alleged boss. But that's what happens in this kind of situation. Rumors start, people start talking, there's a lot of chatter going on about that. And he clearly has a problem with the Delaware County thing because his name came up in the state police investigation, and now the feds have adopted a lot of that, and they're having different individuals going in front of a grand jury. So there could be a problem.
There was some information in that Delco Nostra case about money going to his wife, correct?
Exactly. I mean, part of the money that was being collected was given to his wife, and it was allegedly his bookmaking operation, and Benfinger Lou Monticello was his proxy out there in Delaware County. So all of that has got the feds interested, and that may be another kind of criminal problem he's got in addition to whatever reason he's in the hole. I mean, that's another thing that's got people chattering.
We all know George is a nervous fellow to begin with.
Right.
Can you imagine the nerves if he is in the hole still and hearing all this buzz on the street, kind of where his mind is at?
Oh, sure. I mean, the very fact that his name started to come up in that Delaware County thing had to get him upset because he doesn't like that kind of stuff. He's looking at, I got 2 more years to go before I come out, and now somebody's saying, maybe that door's not going to open. That creates a problem. Yeah. Now, this other business, nobody quite knows why, that adds to a lot of the turmoil internally, yeah.
In your estimation, could the feds be waiting at the jailhouse door when he does go out?
They like to do that kind of stuff. They like to say, you think you're coming out, but you're not really coming out. Forget about it. I mean, that's the kind of mind games that they're playing, and he's the type that you can play those games with, and it creates a problem.
You could also just be in the hole for administrative stuff that happens inside the prison, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way we know why he's in the hole, and it could be something as simple as that. And the problem is, apparently, he can't communicate with anybody, so nobody really knows.
All right, since we're on communication, Joey Merlino's been in prison now for almost 11 years.
Right.
There are some reports that he now has internet, and he can go on and email people. And
I've been hearing from people who say Joey is emailing, yeah. So Joey emails, Joey calls on the phone, Joey keeps on top of what's going on here. I think he's aware of everything that's happening, and he's also interested in how the Phillies are doing and how the Flyers are doing and all that kind of stuff. Joey is Joey. And like I said, he'll be out in probably a year and 2-3 months, something like that.
Now, I've heard a little buzz that Joe Legambi's actually been talking to him on the phone and communicating back.
That wouldn't surprise me. I think Joey has a way of communicating with a lot of different people, either directly or indirectly, where you call somebody and somebody else is going to be there when the call comes in, those kind of things. And it's interesting, given all the interplay that's going on and how people are lining up with that Monticello, Delco Nostro, who's lining up behind Borgesi, who's lining up behind Marty Angelina, who is Joey's guy. A lot of different things going on, a lot of things at play.
Where does Joey go if he comes out? If he goes to a halfway house, say in the next year or so, does he come back to Philadelphia? I've heard reports he wants to go to Florida. He's not coming back to Philadelphia. If there's a big federal indictment and Joe Legambi is off the street and his cohorts, that opens the door again.
Yeah, I think Joey comes back to South Philly no matter what. Joey's Joey. Joey's going to do what Joey wants to do. I don't think it matters. If there's a vacuum and a lot of guys are indicted in a way in jail, he'll help fill that vacuum. If they're there, he'll slide right in. Joey doesn't really care about titles. Joey is just Joey, and I think none of that's going to change.
He also doesn't care about other people too much when it comes to the hierarchy.
Exactly.
If he wants to slide in somewhere, he slides in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that the situation, if you remember, with Ralph Natale was the boss, but Joey was content to let him be the boss. Joey was doing what Joey wanted to do. It'll be the same no matter who's in charge when he comes back out.
George, let's talk about if Merlino were to come back out on the street in a year or so, and Joe Legambi was still on the street as the boss. Joey's a high profile, doesn't shrug off the media. Joe Legambi's the complete opposite. Could they bang heads a little bit?
Well, in that respect, philosophically, they're totally different. I mean, Legambi likes to stay in the shadows, make money, don't make headlines, don't call attention to yourself. Joey's the kind of celebrity gangster. But I think Legambi has indicated or has demonstrated that he's very much laissez-faire. If it doesn't impact him, if he doesn't think it's going to cause him a problem, he'll probably let Joey be Joey. It doesn't really matter.
Joey not in South Philly, I can't picture that.
No, I mean, neither can I. I mean, he is a product of South Philadelphia. It's his identity, and I would imagine, even if he were to come out and say, I'm going to Florida, he may go to Florida for a vacation, but he's always going to be based in South Philadelphia.
And is he fortified by the fact that most of his guys are now back out on the street?
Well, I mean, that's got to be something. I mean, Marty Angelina's his guy, Stevie Mazzone's his guy. Those guys came back out. They're sitting there. They're not doing very much. And I think their allegiance is to Joey, right? Much more than an allegiance to an organization. Their allegiance is to Joey.
Because they're boyhood friends, right?
Yeah, they come from 12th and Wolf. They're all the guys from the corner. And that's what this was always about with Joey. It wasn't about the Mafia, Cosa Nostra. It was about the guys from 12th and Wolf.
All right, George, so the future of Merlino and Borgesi really depends a lot on what the feds do.
Exactly. I think the FBI's got a racketeering investigation, and the key is who gets indicted, who gets sent away, who's left out there. And everything will play out according to how that evolves. And we don't know yet what's going to happen. We know there's a grand jury, we know there's an investigation, but we don't know what it's going to result in.
Okay, that's it for this week's version of Mob Talk. We'll see you next week.
We're here on Passyunk Avenue, South Philadelphia. Used to be the nerve center for Joey Merlino's operation more, and he was the major figure in Philadelphia organized crime. He had a coffee shop right here on Passyunk Avenue. It's kind of his headquarters where he hung out. Joey is a unique character in terms of the Philadelphia mob. Joey was the guy who gave the Philadelphia mob a face. He was the Philadelphia mob's first celebrity gangster. He was kind of the John Gotti of Passyunk Avenue. Before that, everybody was kind of low-key. Joey kind of embraced that, look at me, I'm a gangster, celebrity kind of approach to the underworld. And Joey had the bloodlines. Joey's father was Salvatore Chucky Merlino, who had been the underboss in the Scarfo crime family back in the 1980s. So he grew up around this life. His first big problem with the law was he was involved in an armored car robbery down here in South Philadelphia. He and two associates made off with about $357,000. One of the guards involved in the armored truck dropped the money off the back of the truck. Joey's associate picked it up. Joey ended up going to jail for 4 years on that case because his associates testified against him. The reason they had testified against him was Joey was hoarding all the money. And his approach to it basically was 2.5 years in prison, which is what he spent in prison, was the price he paid for $357,000. And that was kind of Joey's approach to life. In the mid-1990s, he becomes a major player in the underworld. And even when he was part of the organization, Joey was very much an outlaw and lived life on his own terms. He clashed with mob boss John Stanford. And it was a cultural, ethnic clash. Stanford was from Sicily, Joey was from South Philadelphia. Stanford was in his 50s, Joey and his guys were in their 30s. And so you had this mob war that broke out in the mid-1990s. Shootings here in South Philadelphia. Joey was wounded in one of those hits, survived the hit. His best friend, Mikey Chang, was killed. End of the day, Stanford and his associates get indicted, taken off the streets, and Joey becomes the titular head of the organization. Ralph Natale comes back from prison in 1995. They form an alliance. And from 95 to 99, they were running the show down here in South Philadelphia. Joey out of a clubhouse here, Ralph from over in South Jersey. Eventually that fell apart in typical fashion. A lot of conflict internally. Ralph becomes an informant, cooperates. Joey ends up getting jammed up in a big racketeering case. And he and his associates were convicted in 2001. He's currently finishing up a 14-year prison stint. Should be back in South Philadelphia within a year. A lot of different things kind of typify who Joey was. Joey used to give Christmas parties for homeless. Had a restaurant down here on Passyunk Avenue. Homeless kids from Kensington would be bussed in. They'd be given toys, presents. Fat Angelo Lutz played Santa Claus. He was, in a lot of ways, Robin Hood-esque. Although the feds would tell you it was easy to be free and generous with other people's money. Joey never used his own money. Joey gave away turkeys to the homeless at Thanksgiving. I mean, he was very much wanted to be a man of the people. That was the image he projected. He also was probably, of all the mob bosses in the last 25 years in Philadelphia, Joey Merlino was the one who was least afraid of the media. He wasn't afraid to talk. He wasn't afraid to be quoted. There was a situation I recall back in the mid-1990s. Supposedly, Scarfo from prison puts a contract on Joey Merlino's life, $500,000 contract. And I remember the guys from Channel 29, Dave Schratwieser and Brad Now, the photographer, went to see Joey about it. They put the camera on him and they say to Joey, Joey, what do you think about this $500,000 price tag on your head? And Joey looks into the camera, that crooked grin of his, out of the side of his mouth, he says, you give me the $500,000, I'll shoot myself. I mean, that was Joey. That was Joey's approach, you know? Larger than life, not afraid, and he just was out there. He was very much an outlaw and a one of a kind. There's been a lot of mob bosses since Angelo Bruno, but only one like Joey Merlino. And I don't think we'll ever see that again.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on what we should do next in the comments. This is Infinite Lee Productions. We love ya.